Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm just going to jump right in. I'm Zach. This is the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm glad to be with you and glad you're with me. Thanks for the feedback on the Joe Till interview. I do look forward to doing the, I don't know if you call it a debate, but the conversation with the other side over the weekend, and I'll let you guys know and hopefully get some clips to put up of that. It should be a good time. I'd like to start off by thanking my sponsors, Mortgage Financial Services here in Texarkana. Um, I believe they're the area's number one mortgage lender. So if you're looking for a mortgage, definitely use them. I'd also like to thank Elmwood Custom Goods for supporting the show, and then I'd like to thank Church on the Rock. And that's Church on the Rock, Texarkana. ChurchOnTheRock.org. And without those three and many others, there are some that have asked not to be named that support this show, I appreciate it more than anything. I thank God for being able to talk to you all every day, and just bring you hopefully what you like and at least a different view on some things. All right, I'm going to get into the LA stuff. I'm going to get into the riot stuff, but one thing I wanted to start with is, and it could be easily missed, and I posted it on the Zach Ratliff Show Facebook page. I don't know if you saw it or not, but this is from DC Drano on X.com, but it comes from NOAA, the National Oceanic, what is it, Atmospheric Administration or whatever. Anyway, it's the weather part of the government. No global warming in the United States since 2012. What? Who would have thought? I mean, look, it was 69 degrees here this morning, and it's June 11th. I mean, not that it's normally just sweltering hot in June, because it's not, but that's a cool temperature. And it's probably well within the range of averages. I'm not saying it's overwhelmingly cool, but what I'm saying is there's a cycle. We know there have been multiple ice ages in the past, which means it got colder, and then it got warmer, and then it got colder. That's the way it works. That's the way all of this happens. So I just don't understand it, other than control. Once again, everything comes back to people wanting to control us, groups wanting to control us. And so that's why this is a big deal to me. I'm I'm a global warming, I'm a man-made global warming skeptic. I don't believe in 140 years of industrialization that we've changed the atmosphere of the world. And if I was a believer in evolution, I certainly wouldn't believe that, because you're saying it's billions and billions of years, and we've altered it in 140 years. I would be a little more willing to believe it if I were a young Earth person and it made sense. 6 to 10,000 years, that's at least you're at a higher percentage of years. However, I just don't. And look, if I get to heaven one day and God's like, Zach, you were wrong. You know what? I got my faith principle right, and believing in Jesus is the only way to get to heaven. Everything else, while it matters some, that's the most important thing to get right. And so as long as I'm there, I'll discuss everything else with you. But anyway, I just think this global warming thing is a way to claim and maintain power. And it's showing to be the case. We're going to have these EVs and these battery operated vehicles, and we're going to have to go to solar power. We're going to have to go to wind power, and then we're going to have to buy all this stuff from China, who doesn't follow any of these rules. We've got something coming up on China too, and I'm going to get a button one day that's a horn that, just so I can toot my own horn every now and then. First of all, Benny Johnson on X.com. This is from ABC7 in LA. Turns out that some of these peaceful protesters out in LA are confirmed murderer and a rapist, have at least been arrested due to criminal, or you can tell by criminal records. And who would have thought? Some of these criminals are criminals. look, there may be people that justifiably are against the immigration push or the anti-immigration push. They may have good reason. However, just like climate change, just like all the groups, last year and the year before and the year before for Pride, they're taking small movements, and they being the elite, and monopolizing it to maintain and grow their power base. They don't. The people that are funding this, your George Soros and people like that, and their groups and these NGOs, they don't care about these immigrants. They don't care about these families. They don't care about my family. They don't care about your family. They care about power and the power and to maintain power and to grow power. They care about the vote. Just like I said on yesterday's episode, this is 100% about a voting base. The black base is leaving the Democrats. If 93 or something percent of blacks don't vote for the Democrats, they can't win. They're having to replace them. Because blacks are like, hey, we've been taken advantage of. This is the same party that didn't want to end slavery. Talking about the Democrats. The Democrats are the same party that wanted Jim Crow laws. Turns out the Democrats have maintained a power base over the black population through, all the social programs just for votes. They've enslaved them again. And so have some of the Republicans. Let's don't get it wrong. But if you look at any Democrat hero, or any Democrat and their hero is Robert Byrd's one of them. And he was a leader of the Ku Klux Klan, which was started as a political enforcement wing of the Democrat Party. It's all about power. It's all about power, everything. So anyway, we've got some murderers and rapists being arrested in in all of this and these riots, which we knew that's what the ICE is trying to do. And look, if California didn't want these riots, if California didn't want all of this happening, they could end it fairly easily. And it would be by allowing ICE to go into their detention centers or holding these criminals once they found them and calling ICE and releasing them to them. But they're not willing to do that. They want to turn them back on the streets, which then puts not only that person in danger, but their family in danger and all the agents that have to go get them in danger. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? They know what's going to happen, California and their leadership, and they're still okay with it. What's happening is nobody's fault but California's. And then I like how Gavin Newsom, how they sued the Trump administration. You can't bring in the National Guard. It's already been thrown out, right? It was already like, no. And there's going to be an actual hearing about it tomorrow, I believe, on Thursday. But the emergency filing to make them stop has already been like, no, we're not going to do that. He's the president. Golly, it's just wild. All right, I'm just going to work through these notes as I texted them to myself. So we'll be back and forth on some thought trains a little bit here. This one is huge from Gunther Eagleman on X.com. China has bent the knee. What? Whatever do you mean? And this is from Donald J. Trump on Truth Social. Our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and Donald Trump. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China. Likewise, we will provide to China what was agreed to, which makes me question there, like, what did we agree to? Why haven't we spelled that out? And then, anyway, that's there. Including Chinese students being able to use our colleges, which I don't necessarily agree with all the spies and everybody bringing in the biological pathogens. This is a scary thing, so we have to make sure that's managed correctly because it hasn't been. We're getting a total of 55% tariffs off of China. China's getting 10%. The relationship is excellent. Thank you for the attention to this matter. We can't go against China. China doesn't exist without our money. Their economy cannot make it. And it has proven to be true. All these economists that were worried about it, they're just part of the machine. Look, I'm no economist. But once again, I'm not afraid to think critically and logically, and just, luckily I was raised in a world by intelligent people. They're like, hey, you gotta be able to think about things. Don't just buy the lie, right? Don't buy the lie. You can't do that. And so, anyway, this just made sense to me. Still makes sense. It's another toot your own horn type moment for Donald Trump. And we all know he isn't afraid to toot his own horn. So, all right, here's this from Politico.com. The White House tweaks its AIDS funding rollback to assuage skeptical Republicans. Well, here's what they were going to do. There are plans to slash global AIDS funding, because we don't have any money. Why don't we worry about it here in our country? And I'm for that. Yet some of these cowardly Republicans are going to come out and say, well, we don't want to jeopardize our vote. Those people aren't voting for us. We don't want to seem insensitive. Once again, I used this example yesterday too. Put your oxygen mask on, then help a child or someone that needs help around you. It's that simple. We've got to put our oxygen mask on as a country. We can't be helping everyone else when we don't have any money. It's just that simple. Anyway, the Republicans, they're gonna stab us in the back every chance they get. It's $9.4 billion in spending cuts package. There's a Thursday vote. So, look, I'm okay with this. This was part of the George W. Bush AIDS effort that, Politico even goes on to say it saved millions of lives, and I'm sure it did. And I'm all for saving lives. But we've got to save our country, and we've got to save the lives inside of our country. We don't need to be spending $9 billion somewhere else. And then here's a thought I had. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping back and forth today, some as I just go through these messages. Here's what I do. I just text myself different articles throughout the day that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. We should talk about this. We should make sure every one of you that are listening are aware of it. And a lot of you are. A lot of you text me. And a lot of you text me ideas that I also talk about. Which feel free to do that, or you can email me at the Zach Ratliff Show at gmail.com. I try to check that a couple times a week as well. Anyway, here's what I thought, and then Jesse Waters said it last night on his show. We have to remember, as we're watching these peaceful protests where they're lighting cars on fire and vandalizing stores and, all the things that happen every time there's a summer of peace when a Republican's in office. The same people telling us these are peaceful protests are the same ones that told you up until the day before of the debate that Joe Biden was okay. They're the ones that told you Kamala Harris had a lead in the polls, and she did not. They're the same people that have told you all the lies that are being discovered, that COVID came from a bat, right? All the things. And I'm not saying people didn't die from COVID. What I am saying is every lie we've been fed and we've dealt with, these are the same people telling you that, oh, no, these aren't supposed to be violent protests. Yes, they are. It's a plan. When pallets of bricks get delivered and dropped off into areas where they know there's going to be protest and instructions on where to meet are emailed out, it's a plan. This isn't organic. It takes a certain kind of a mind to be able to put together something like this strategically. That it doesn't just come together. Any of you in a business know this. Oh, here's another surprise for everyone that didn't think tariffs would work. CNBC.com. GM is going to invest $4 billion in U.S. manufacturing plants to move vehicles that are being manufactured in Mexico into the U.S. What? What happens then? Well, then you need to have people to run that plant. So you have jobs. And then what happens? The people that work those jobs make an income. And then from that income, what happens? They pay taxes. And also with that income, They move to wherever these plants are or wherever these plants are built. And then they buy a house. And then the real estate agent makes taxes. And the insurance company makes taxes. And the county makes taxes. And they shop at the grocery store. And there's taxes made there. And then all of these other people start making money because of the slash or because of the investment, which is due to the tariffs. This is what happens. This is how you grow the economy. You make stuff here. You depend on our people. It's not hard. It's not crazy. You just have to think. This isn't even outside the box thinking. You just have to, don't buy the lie. No matter what, you don't buy the lie. Whatever they tell you, don't buy it. You have to be able to think for yourself to be able to make your own decisions. It's just wild. Oh, here's where I was talking about. This is from Colin Rugg on X.com. Just in, federal judge denies Gavin Newsom's effort to force President Trump to withdraw the National Guard. Yeah. The National Guard. They're there to protect. And look, I appreciate all our military people. I was never one. Got family that was. That's kind of like having one black friend, right? Doesn't really mean you're part of it. However, I appreciate that. I'm glad that we have it. But it's sad that we have to send them in because a mayor and a governor won't take care of their own people. That's the sad part. That's the problem. It's not that it's not that the National Guard's there. It's that we're having to put them in harm's way because the representatives and the leaders of that state and city refuse to help their own citizens. Why isn't anybody mad about that? Why don't anybody have a problem with that? Once again, don't buy the lie. It's they're lying to you when they tell you they're for the people. They're not. X.com, Natalie Jean Bessner. The garment warehouse and storefront in L.A. that I searched on Friday is a money laundering operation for cartels. What? They wouldn't do that. They're just moving people and drugs and children. They're laundering money too? Inside of our country? Who? Gloom, despair, and agony. Who would have ever thought such a dastardly deed would happen? Well, of course they're laundering money. And of course we're going after it. Once again, don't be surprised by this. What do you think? ICE is just running and kicking in random doors? Aha, you got any illegals in here? No, they're working sources. They're working a problem. We just have to have the will to let them, the backbone to let them, the cojones to let them. We can't be beaten down by the media and forced into something that we don't even like. That's the real issue. Okay, moving on. I don't want to get tied up. Oh, I have in my notes that this has to terrify the left. Let's make sure that I know it's from Politico. Let me see here. Oh, well, it's changed. But what it was, this isn't from Politico. What I'm going to say is when I had this has to terrify the left, it was John Fetterman coming out and saying, hey, I'm not for these riots. He's like, I'm for peaceful assembly. And look, John Fetterman, I'm no John Fetterman fan, senator from Pennsylvania. But at least he's willing to say what the rest of the Democrats, he's like, this isn't good for our country. This isn't what we need. This isn't what we want. He at least seems to somewhat be for our country, because I don't think all liberals are evil. I think there is evil parts in each party. So I'm thankful John Fetterman's willing to say it. Now, we'll have to see if they primary him or they say he's mentally unfit, because if he continues to go against the Democrat machine, they will exit him from a leadership position. Well, from any position. He's not technically in a leadership position in the party, but they will not allow it. Let's remember what Denny Burdine said when I was on the radio, that Democrats ride for the brand. And I'm going to get Denny on here. We're going to talk Constitution at some point. and we'll be able to go into a long-form discussion because we were always cut off by commercials and time restraints, and just now we won't be. So just know that's coming in the next couple months. I talked to him about it the other day at his farm. Okay, Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh, X.com. Everything you need to know about the immigration debate can be found in this one fact. Immigration enforcement is only ever considered controversial when predominantly white countries do it. Non-white, non-Western countries frequently have very strict immigration. That's exactly right. They're wanting to collapse Western society. They're wanting to send us back to the 1600s so that they can rule us. Back when they wouldn't allow everybody to be able to read. We were serfs and peasants. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. Look at what happened in Iran in the 50s and 60s, right? Just look, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Go look at the pictures of their women driving and in miniskirts and going to college and having jobs in Afghanistan and Iran. They were a modern culture. That isn't what the world wants. That isn't what their religion over there wants. They want to control and subjugate people. And remember, we're a beacon of freedom, the beacon of freedom. So of course they want to silence and subjugate us. Luckily, so far, that's not what we want. Donald Trump says ICE operations will be expanding to every major city in America. Good, go get them. And like I said yesterday, let's go get the really bad ones. And then let's give the other ones a chance. Hey, you're here legally. Get caught up on your taxes. File the paperwork you need to file. Tell us you're here. You've been participating in society. Let's get you caught up. I'm okay with that. Okay? However, at some point, you have to pay the piper. I don't even know where that came from, paying the piper. But you do. That's what I've heard. DailyWire.com. Now, this is interesting. Alaskan tribal leaders offer immense gratitude for Donald Trump for killing the Biden oil development bans. That's right. They couldn't drill for oil in part of where these Alaskan tribes are, so they had no jobs. They had no way to support their families. The people there either having the jobs or buying goods and services and being a part of those communities are the way they survived, the way they made their money. When you stopped allowing oil to be drilled there and you stopped allowing people coming in working, they didn't have anybody to... They didn't have any means to make money, so it's hurt them immensely. It's hurt these tribes. But I thought we were for the tribes. It's never about the tribe. It's never about the person. It's always about the power. Every single time it's about the power. We just have to remember it's about the power every single time. And it just is. Maxine Waters, this lady, I wish they would put her on camera every day. I wish they would give her something to talk about every day. You know those videos with like the cats with the little camera on them, with a GoPro on them, they're running around doing their cat things and all that. We ought to put a bell on Maxine Waters with a camera and just watch the crazy stuff. You think I say crazy stuff. We don't watch this lady. Anyway, she comes out, she says, there was no violence in the streets of Los Angeles. What? It's pretty easy to go find clips of cars on fire. Don't worry, that's no violence. Pam Bondi's come out and said they put the guy who's throwing bricks at immigration enforcement cars' windows on the FBI most wanted list. But don't worry, that's not violence. They're throwing all kinds of stuff at the police, rocks and shooting fireworks. Don't worry, that's not violent. What? Maybe we're going to have to define what violence is. Because the same woman will tell you it's violent and hurtful to misgender someone. It's violent to say the wrong words. But I can throw rocks at a moving car that could go through the windshield? I can shoot fireworks at you? That's not violent. But to say hurtful things, that's violence? There's always a double standard. here's what the media, or here's what the Democrats aren't accustomed to. And we have to stay ahead of the curve. They're not used to us being able to get the truth out. Once again, thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter. Thank God Elon Musk is for free speech right now. No matter what's going on with him and Donald Trump, which I still think's theater, I'm glad that he's allowing a platform of free, because without it, we wouldn't know all these things. We wouldn't have these pictures. We wouldn't be able to do the things that we're supposed to. So, it's just, anyway, no violence. She's a joke. And that's what I have there. They're just about controlling the what the media says. Then I have this. The left is pushing for civil war, and the media is helping them. I completely believe that. They're trying to take over. And then was my next thought. This is about power and being able to keep illegal votes. They are trying to overwhelm and collapse our country. Yeah. Then my final thought on that was, we knew the Dems would have to start a war for power at some point, because they can't win in the arena of ideas. So you have to name call, and then once that loses its effect, it's like a kid, right? Well, I'm just not going to do it. Okay, we're going to get in trouble. Well, I'm going to throw a little fit. Well, we're not going to allow that. Well, I'm going to throw a bigger fit. Well, I'm not going to allow that. Or I'm going to kick, scream, whatever. And then you're going to get a whipping, and we're not going to allow that, right? It's the same thing. They're ratcheting it up as we're pushing back, and we just have to know that that's human nature. That's what I expect to happen. That should be what you expect to happen. The Democrats are, and this is even from Stephen Miller. He said the Democrat Party is in open rebellion against the United States of America. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. We just have to know it. So look, here's the good news, though. There's a lot going on. There's a lot happening in our country. It can be overwhelming. But the good news is, Jesus died for us. And there's peace in that. And there's peace at the end if you'll ask for it. So don't be worried. Don't be fearful. Be bold. And move through your day. I hope God blesses each and every one of you. And we'll be back. We'll do it all again tomorrow.